So, as we were talking about the other day, so there is quite the hump in the floor here. I believe it's because the load-bearing wall actually runs along that area. You probably can't see it on video very good, but the flooring in it, what does it do, Jared? Show us with your hands. What does the flooring do?
Oh, like in general?
Yeah, like it's like...
Okay, so we got about here.
Yeah.
Basically.
There's a massive hump in the floor here because this was the old house and then they added this on. So everything kind of went like this in this area. And it's not very pleasant to walk on. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna actually take my drill. I'm gonna pop out all the screws on this plywood, pop the plywood off, and we'll see what's underneath there and see if I can do something to fix it. Let's see how this goes. So there was about 160 trillion screws in that piece of plywood. I don't quite understand that, but we're about to find out what's underneath this plywood. And then we'll be able to see what we're looking at here for, or what the issue is, I guess. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna grab a hammer. I'll come back to you guys once I got this off. So one more quick issue. I have to cut around the edges of the wall here because they just ran the plywood straight under the wall and then they built the wall after. So I'm gonna do a quick cut out of that, just around the edges, because yeah, it goes all the way underneath. Then we can figure out how I'm gonna fix the rest of this. Alright, well I'm hoping that was deep enough. I didn't really have the best way of measuring that. Those saws, they never really have the best measuring on them. But now, we've got some plywood off. Okay, okay. I see what's going on here. Alright, now I get it. So if you'll see, this is where the old house meets the new house. And that is the supporting wall there. But everything is still like this. I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing here. And I'm not entirely sure what they were doing with these boards. If you see, they're all chopped up in like 10 million places. Yeah, I'm gonna have to brainstorm on this one. I'm thinking the best option for me right now would be to come off, now you can see the angle, would be to come off flat to about the door and then drop it down. I think that's gonna be my only option. I have no idea what they were doing, what they were thinking. But you can see this is actually a fairly old house because this is all planking. It's very strange. It's jointed, but it's not hardwood. Neat. Okay, so this has me scratching my head a little bit. That load-bearing wall that I said was there. I just peeled up one of those boards. There's literally other 2x4s underneath it, just in little pieces. And if you look at the level, yeah, that's how bad the floor is. But if I also take the level and I put it over here, it's going like that. So it's basically got like a peak here. Now, I've never done this before, so I'm just kind of figuring this out as I go along. I'm thinking that the height of the 2x4 underneath these boards, I think that is about the height that it needs to be in that area to go from there over to about here. So I'm gonna have to try and level it out with those boards, which means all of this and all of this has to come out. And then I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I guess we'll find out as we go. All right, guys, so here's where we're at. I got all this paneling off. You can really see how old this house is. Now, the issue, I'll show you, because you can really see it from this angle. I'm holding the camera level right now. That floor there, when it's totally level going across here, will end up pretty much flat on these planks here. That's how much of an angle this is at. So I'm gonna have to do, now there's multiple layers of flooring in here actually. There's this, and then these were added on, I think after, just to throw in the new thing. I don't know, it adds an extra bit of height on here, but there's actually another layer of flooring that's underneath this. And then underneath that, there's actually even another layer of flooring. And the main beam is actually not even this. The main beam is actually underneath all this. It's right here, and it runs fully across. So with that flooring there, with the plywood there, that's gonna end up being pretty much level when it's right up to this. Now that's okay, that's good. That makes it easy because I can just flip these 2x4s on their sides, since there's multiple layers of flooring in here anyways, and then it'll actually be level all the way across. This one can just come out, and I can just put the plywood right on top of this. However, all of this has to come out, and that is on a serious slope that way. So, I'm not gonna worry about that side for now, but I'm gonna have to do something about that. For right now, I'm just gonna focus on using my favorite tool to knock these boards out of here, because they go all the way underneath this. I'm just gonna chop them off there and then fold them over, and maybe even put a board going this way across at the end. Then once I have those chopped off, I can tip this one on its side. That one there can just come straight out because it's not doing anything anyways. There's multiple layers of flooring, like I said. And then I guess I'll come back and I'll have to start on that one. Okay, so all those boards are out now. No more 2x4s. I've got this piece of cedar or whatever it is, and it's pretty straight because it's a manufactured board. If I go like that, this is level, going all the way over, going all the way back to that one. So from that stud to that stud, we're level, which means whatever that distance is in there, I have to put my 2x4 down. And I think that's the perfect height for putting a 2x4 flat faceways down. Lotus is helping me out. What do you think, Lotus? What should we do here? Yeah, see, he just thinks I'm crazy, which he's not wrong. So I'm gonna put a 2x4 running across that way. That way it'll be level. Then I'll see about putting more supports possibly in here. I don't know. It's an old building. There's so many layers of flooring in here. I don't think it really matters. But I want to make sure that everything is proper. Well, check this out, guys. So getting all this flooring off here, I put in that 2x4 along there flatways. That's on top of a big like 4x4 beam. And I found something kind of cool as I was taking up all of these boards here. I was just basically cutting them and then, you know, knocking them off. But yeah, I was cutting along and I look down here and I see a little paper thing. I'm like, what the heck is that? So I look at it. Look at that. Canada, 1981. It's got a little Christmas thing on there. A little stamp or something. Neat. Alright, so I just thought I'd show you what I'm doing here. So as you can see, the main beam is about an inch higher than what it needs to be nice and level. So my little idea here was I've got my 2x4 running across this way and it works really, really nice as a jig. So I'm basically just using it as a jig and I'm cutting it off. Yeah, so these Sawzalls, if you don't have one and you're doing renovations, you probably want one. You cut along here, don't even have to pull the nails out. As long as you got a good blade or multiple good blades, you'll cut right through all of those nails, no problem. And I'm cutting a pretty straight line because of my 2x4 here. Obviously I still have a lot to vacuum out. Padme's been giving me a hand. It's getting kind of late. You know, we don't have as much daylight now, but yeah, it's going pretty well. I'm gonna keep moving along with this and see how much I can get done tonight. Obviously, I gotta cut that board off. Then I have to do a little bit of cutting on that one, not very much. I think it's like maybe a half an inch. And then that one is pretty well good. We'll see. I may even just leave that one. And of course, since I'm cutting a little bit off of these, I'm gonna grab a couple new 2x4s because I'm gonna need a few to go across this way, just to create a pattern in here so that the floor can sit on it. But once I got that down, I'm gonna put the 2x4s running alongside those ones and just strengthen it up a little bit. Obviously, this was not built really too correctly, so I don't think it can hurt. So just to show you how well this actually works, there's the beam I needed to cut. I cut it all the way along, and boop, look at that. That comes off nice and clean. And now we've got a surface that's level with this 2x4. So now when the floor comes over, it's gonna be nice and flat. I can make sure it's all level. I had to do a bit of a weird cut there, but I'm gonna continue cutting across there and then just chop it down. So that one's all good. This whole length in here, you can't really see it underneath all the broken pieces, but this whole length of plywood along here, that's all level actually. So that's all good. I only have to go up to there, so I'm just gonna strap 2x4 to the side of that, I can get rid of all this old wiring because none of it is hooked up. Thank goodness it's not hooked up. But I'll just strap a 2x4 to the edge of this one, and then I can set my plywood directly on top, level it off with all of these boards, set my other plywood on top of this, and throw some carpet down. Then we'll be done. Woohoo! So I'm glad you guys are coming along for this. It's a lot of work. I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning, and what is it now? It's 6:53, 7 o'clock. I gotta get Jared in here to help me. Jared!